Operation Spring Shield is in full swing. Turkish forces striking the Syrian army's ammunition depots, tanks and air defense systems. They've also shot down a warplane in southern Idlib. The escalation in fighting comes as Turkey says it's determined to stop Syrian army troops from advancing towards the city of Idlib, the rebels' last stronghold. Officials here say the military campaign has severely undermined the Syrian army's capabilities. Undeterred, Syrian troops retook Saraqib. The city sits on two highways, the M4 and M5, and has changed hands many times over the last few days. As fighting continues, U.S. Special Envoy for Syria James Jeffrey and U.S. Ambassador to the UN Kelly Craft visited the border area with Syria and met members of the Syrian White Helmets. The U.S. is contributing more than $100 million to address the deteriorating humanitarian situation in northwestern Syria.
Humanitarian aid is only a response. The real answer is an immediate ceasefire, a durable ceasefire. So I'm very happy to be here. This is obviously a moment that we need to make certain that we stress that the Americans care, but at the same time that there has got to be an immediate ceasefire.
Muhammad Abdelbasit Jaber and his father are from Hama province. Their family members are among thousands of people who have fled their villages and settled on the border with Turkey.
When we were walking out of the village, we were hit by an airstrike. I lost my hand and eye. I miss my home, my school.
For the time being, Muhammad and his family have nowhere to go. Their makeshift camp could turn into something more permanent if the fighting doesn't end. As international calls for an immediate ceasefire gather momentum, Turkish and Russian leaders will meet on Thursday to try and agree on a buffer zone and a demarcation line that will constrain the movement of the Syrian army. But Damascus remains adamant its offensive won't end until it regains control of all the territory held by the rebels. Hashem Ahelbarra, Al Jazeera, Hatay.
Russia's foreign ministry has put out a series of statements defending the Syrian government offensive in Idlib. It's describing the battle as a fight against terrorism. The Turkish president is travelling to Moscow for talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday. Step Varson has more.
2 days before an important meeting here in Moscow between Vladimir Putin and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Putin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says that he hopes that constant coordination between the Turkish and Russian military will minimize a clash between the two countries. The meeting comes amid heightened tensions between Russia and Turkey in Idlib in Syria. And Erdogan has said that he hopes that during the talks, which are already being described as going to be very difficult, he hopes that a ceasefire will be agreed. Putin only agreed to meet Erdogan after tens of Turkish soldiers were killed in Idlib last week, and also Turkey started an offensive against Syrian forces. Initially, Erdogan had invited Putin to come to Istanbul, but the meeting now will take place here in Moscow, which can be seen as a diplomatic win for the Russian president. Another meeting, which was also supposed to take place this week between Erdogan, Putin and German Chancellor Angela Merkel and French President Emmanuel Macron, has not been confirmed by Putin, but his spokesman says that Putin is willing to meet with Iranian President Rouhani and Erdogan in the so-called Astana format soon. Peskov also responded to a UN report from the Commission on Syria, which has accused Russia of war crimes against civilians in Syria, and Peskov says that these allegations are untrue, and he calls the report one-sided.